Okay, welcome to the February 5th episode of the Benmore Brief. Today we have a longtime friend of mine, former teammate, former roommate in college, director of real estate at Noble Gas, and founder of Strident Steel, Jack Frisbie. So without further ado, Jack, can you just give kind of an introduction into those two roles and what you do at Noble and what you're creating over at Strident Steel?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Richard. Yeah, like you said, long time friend. I saw the many nights of you coding through the night and getting where you are now. So happy to
We
be
had to
here.
do it.
Yeah. So Noble as my family business. We have 11 gas stations in the Connecticut and Massachusetts market, and we're trying to expand around 4 sites a year on the gas station side. Then we have another 8 car washes, and it's kind of trying to expand at that same pace there with 4 and 4 per year. So rapid expansion coming, especially compared to our size. And so, like you said, I'm the director of real estate on the roads just about every day looking for sites, trying to close deals and some acquisitions out there as well. So I deal primarily with site acquisition, identification, going through the process, the approval process, and then I also deal with the financing as well. So that's part of my job is to get financing, refinance our existing. And on the other side of that, Strident Steel is a company I founded with athletic training for people who are doing hybrid training. So hybrid training, for those who aren't familiar, people who are interested in doing endurance athletics along with still lifting and being strong. Because myself, I train for triathlons and marathons, but I still want to remain strong in the gym too. So there's a balance where you're not going too endurance heavy and losing all your gains, while not getting too top heavy and not being able to perform at an athletic level like I like to do in the triathlon and marathons.
No, absolutely. And I think, sort of our first topic here is, you know, we talked together in terms of setting you up and kind of introducing you to Claude Code. Was that a 2 days ago or a day ago or
Yeah,
so?
Monday, yeah. So
Monday,
2 days
yeah.
ago.
So yeah, a couple days ago, and coming from a non-technical background, just kind of want to get your experience over the past couple of days. I know you've been going crazy on it, exploring its capabilities, building out a funnel and a platform for Strident Steel. How's your experience been the last couple of days when it comes to utilizing agentic coding tools like Claude Code?
Yeah, it's been a 10 out of 10. I can't rave about it enough. I'm telling everyone close to me about it. I'm spending all day on the terminal instead of, and I'd never been on one before, Monday. So it's pretty cool. Well, that's not true. I guess I saw yours one time in college.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been great, and like not having the background where like knowing how to code or anything hasn't slowed that down at all. It's just more of me interacting, saying, I don't know how to do this. And I've just been blown away with, okay, you don't know how to do that. Here's a link. Here's exactly what to
Mm.
do. And it really walks me through everything. And it's more, I'm not even on the coworker application. It's just strictly
Yeah,
Claude
straight
Code.
terminal. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's not, I don't think the naming should be Claude Code. I think it should just be, because the code makes me sound
Person
like, oh,
close.
yeah, it's impossible. But like no, I'm just telling it what to do, and it's been really seamless, honestly. And I'm really impressed because from the other AI I've used, I remember using other AIs and be like, do this for me, and it just is like, yeah, this is still too far away. Like I don't know, the quality of what's coming back to me isn't. I could do this myself at a higher level, but using Claude Code is the first time where I'm like, hey, dude, make this. And it's just like, boom, exactly what I want. And so now I've been trying on the development side, it's been a bit amazing. I'm still having to direct a little bit because I'm using it in my own work. So now I'm making Excel files and consolidating
Mm-hmm.
things. It's not one-shotting it where I'm like, hey, like do this, it's getting it. I'm like, okay, retry, now do it in this column. And I give it one
Yeah.
example. I'm like, what I want you to do is populate these cells. For example, this column, this row, do that for
Mm-hmm.
everything. And then when I get an example, seamless. I don't have to worry about it. So it's like training it,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that we're seeing, as you're building your platform as well. It is able, because you're doing a very straightforward funnel to sort of just dashboard with Stripe integration. When it comes to some of the more complex projects, kind of because you're essentially, what I'm saying is you're able to sort of arbitrage your expertise creating financial reports right now and then direct Claude Code to utilize that. That's definitely something that we're seeing as a benefit when it comes to utilizing these tools. However, it is still very surprising how out of the box in terms of its knowledge and capabilities it comes. But when we were setting you up, for example, like the determination between using HTML and CSS, being able to make that sort of call to no, let's go with Next.js because so that is something that we're seeing emerge, but I cannot diminish how incredible it is once you set up sort of a base layer, the rapidization of implementation that it can do. And then also it does a really good job. I don't know if it's sort of been asking you questions as you've been coding as well, but it does a good job of kind of like asking for direction and sort of delegating some of those more complex decisions back to the user, back to yourself. But walk me through kind of what you've been able to develop in the past couple days utilizing Claude Code. I have no idea myself. We haven't caught up on the progress, but kind of what have you been able to develop and where are you at in terms of developing the Strident Steel platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've made it very, very far just because I'm kind of obsessed. So like I'm staying
Yeah.
I'm a go to bed at 9 p.m. kind of guy now, ever since college ended, but I was just staying up till 1 and only going to bed because I'm like, shoot, I really should. And then I'm up at 5:30 again dreaming about what I can do and how to change the platform. And the best part about it is it's given me an ability to take an idea and then create it. Whereas like, hey, I'm in charge of the process, change this, change that. And traditionally you'd spend, $1,000 and hey, like your relationship with the person and they're building it for you. But to go directly from my mind to instantaneously feedback, it's been invaluable. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, what I've created so far is the landing page, which I sent you my first landing page. So I was using another platform where I wasn't in charge of that code and I was trying to do it and it was missing like the finish touch. So I've created that, stridentsteel.com. Another thing is I couldn't link the domain before that I bought.
Oh, did you finally link the domain?
I did, yeah. So I figured,
nice.
so I was trying to do that with my old system and I couldn't figure it out. So now having it, it just was boom, one shot at it. Hey, it's linked. It's pretty sweet. And it was giving me more direction. So I linked it, stridentsteel.com. I made a quiz. My homepage tells you, hey, this is about our mission. This is a little bit about, the product we offer. It's more finished. Then I have a quiz, and I added, special facts to keep the user engaged and saying, hey, like, this is where you rank and what's your height, what's your weight. And then I was able to calculate their BMI, their maintenance calories.
My gosh.
It was,
Yeah, I'm going through it right now.
yeah,
Wow.
and it might be down a little bit because I tried to go and mess with some things. So I'm going to talk about some things you probably can't access right now because I got to debug it, which is new for me. It's
New
like,
terminology for you.
So I set up the quiz. It's got special facts, and at the end, it calculates all these things, personalizes the training for you, which goes into the database, and it custom tailors your workouts. And then, to get the user's information, instead of saying, hey, give me your email, I set up the Google Authenticator, which I think is the thing that's down right now. So I have to.
No, it just worked. It just
Worked?
worked for yeah.
Never mind. Then you go to find out your archetype. So I'm assigning the users an archetype based off their quiz answers. So we're creating a database and stuff so you can get balanced athlete, you can get hybrid endurance.
Bro, and you have Stripe hooked up too with sorry, I'll let you go through it. I'm going through it live
I know.
right now.
It's all a matter of a few days too. I didn't even get to work on it today.
Yeah, jeez.
So then so it hooks you up and says, hey, based on your answers, these are your maintenance calories, this is your BMI, this is just kind of like who you are and like as an athlete, it kind of subscribes you to one of our groups so we can properly tell you how to train. And then it says, hey, like start the trial. I'm going to implement 7-day trial to get people experiencing it. So I collect their email. If they don't check out, now I have their email and I can follow up, say, hey, here's some free workouts. Hey, try the platform. And so once I integrated with Stripe, and then boom, Apple Pay or whatever, and then you're on to the next screen. And I've created the platform already. I don't have the workouts in there that I want, but I have a platform where you have your seven workouts at a time, so each day. and you begin each workout with how you're feeling. So like, hey, how are you feeling? How was last workout? Are you sore? And then you begin your workout. And when you begin your workout, if you know anything about athletics, it tells you the sets, the reps, video, how to do it, and common mistakes and what your form should be thinking of. And at the end of your workout, you say, how was it? Was it too much, too easy? And at the end of 7 days, it'll adapt. But at the very beginning, too, at the very top, I have a set a race goal because I feel like I want most of the users to be working towards a race. I have an idea for like a forum or a community part that I would like to implement when we have enough users to give training advice or saying, hey, I'm going to run this race. Who wants to train with me in the area? Things like that. So you can set your race goal and your training will be tailored towards, I'm doing a triathlon that's this distance, or I'm doing a marathon next month, and you select the date. And so every 7 days, you're getting feedback on how to train for your goal. Because a lot of people, when they go for that, they're scared of injury. And I think that's a very big motivating factor that you need training. I use training like this for my marathon, for my triathlon. I'd never done those before. It was definitely very, very helpful. I didn't experience injuries.
That's incredible. Yeah, I just went through it myself, and the progress in 2 days is actually ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And so you have some pretty complex stuff going on there. We're talking Stripe integration. You have a Google OAuth. You have a spinner that changes the Stripe integration, the pricing of the Stripe integration. You have those graphics. And honestly, I mean, in my opinion, you could likely go to market with that, to be honest. Like, you could probably start selling that. I mean, there's still, it's very bare bones, but literally, like, you could start making money off of that, like, legitimately. Like, if you put $1 million behind it, I don't know if you'd make over $1 million back, but you'd make some back. Someone would go through and pay it, which is crazy. Again, just kind of like all boiling this down to 2 days from a non-technical person. And this is what's feasible now. So now I'm going to turn this back into how this might affect sort of your job over at Noble. Going through this process, kind of experiencing this, where do you see sort of the weaponization of the system internally at
It's going to be tremendous. I think it's going to save us hundreds of hours a week cumulatively, honestly. I think it's going to free up. I think now we're getting our reports like next month. Our reporting should be, pretty much on the dot because currently we're using QuickBooks, our accounting service, and then we're creating the P&Ls, and a lot of things are manual. And we sell the gasoline, which is our main business. I think that's our driving factor is the gasoline. But we're inputting into our manually our Excel sheet. Hey, this location did X amount of gallons at this cents per gallon, and these are all things that could be automated. And it's one thing to know that. Now it's like, okay, I've seen automation in other places. I'm automating emails. I'm doing this and that. And so it's like, I'm going to come to our office and say, write what you do down on these processes. And I'm literally going to take it to Claude Code and be like, here's the processes. What do you think how can we automate that? And what can you do for it? And it's going to tell me back at a high level. And I feel very confident in that. So it's already saved me a task that would have taken me a week took me a couple hours this morning, and it was great. And I was doing 2 other tasks while I was doing it.
Yeah, so you can spin up multiple instances of Claude Code. And yeah, no, it's incredible. One report that I was looking over yesterday was, it was at the end of 2025, released a report, and they basically stated that 95% of AI transformation projects at organizations fails. They were studying all the way up to enterprise, but then also at the mid-market. And you guys are fairly large now, but basically like the rationale was, and it was an interesting sort of dissection of why it fails, is their understanding was that AI tools are most effectively implemented at the individual level. So taking people's day jobs and then hyper weaponizing them with the uses of agentic coding. But for example, what they were claiming would not be effective is if you had the moment that a new sort of, daily report came in from one of your sites, that went into QuickBooks, and then you basically had like AI independently like formulate the report, and it triggered some sort of agentic workflow. They said that did not work at all. But if you still had it was like to a degree of 95%, because when you string together, now personally, I think that that's coming with OpenClaw and ClaudeBot. Like I do think that that's coming, but the prevailing sentiment is that once you set up an agentic workflow, it has problems being dynamic. It has problems deviating, and also there's sort of like a chain of hallucination. So if it got one thing wrong in terms of the extraction from QuickBooks, like it pulled the wrong number out, well then the end report, let's say you have it go from QuickBooks and then you're generating daily reports that get, like, let's just say hypothetically, you have every day an agentic workflow that takes stuff out of QuickBooks, it puts it into Excel, it generates these sort of visuals, and then it compiles it into like a PDF for your directors and owners to sort of review. If step one in that process, there was a hallucination, then everything downstream from that. So that's, and it's also costly and timely, and it's also not dynamic. So change orders in the process and sort of change management is difficult as well. So if something in QuickBooks changed, you guys add a new site, for example, it's just extremely hard to sort of chain that all the way back down. But what it did say is it's like the people who are already sort of deriving the reports, who are already sort of doing that on a manual level, they can do that 10 times faster, right? So it's not like a holistic sort of individual level replacement, but it's more output at the individual level. So I'd be interested, but that's essentially what you were saying, is it's like, you're going to go to, ask them to write down their processes, sort of ask again, important, asking Claude Code what could be done better, implementing that back again at the individual level, and then tooling everyone with a new process that they still are, sort of leading, but then also Claude Code is just, you get 10 times as much output. And then what could that do? They could free up their time for future development of other stuff. So you're saying that you could see a lot of efficiency in reporting. Where else do you see anything else that comes to mind in terms of just sort of speeding up reporting and directives there?
The main thing for me was reporting, but I'll give you another example too, is the capability of, I'm discovering more things we can do. So for example, we're running an ad campaign for the car washes. And now you guys are actually developing the funnel for us for that. To say, hey, because we want to integrate with a more user-friendly option than we have with our current software. And so to do that, we can't do that ourselves. But in the meantime, February is a great season for us, where we have salt on the roads and people are coming in the houses. And so it's like, okay, in gearing up for that, what can we do in the meantime? So we're going to run an ad campaign where we're going to have a landing page, we're going to collect people's emails and run Facebook ads saying 99-cent first month special. So they're going to click the link to the landing page, give us their email. It's going to email them a barcode, and then they're going to go on site. And you know what? It's not perfect, because what we're making with you guys is going to solve a problem of optimize for checkout. Because when you're optimizing down the line, we're going to have our best customer. But it's better than, running an ad where you can't optimize for anything, because at least we can optimize for people who click the link and now give us their email, because that's going to create a better audience and people we can target than just, hey, an online billboard, which is something. Right. This is something more. But I couldn't make a landing page until 3 days ago. So but now I'm going to make a landing page and have that option, which before it was like, do we run an ad where it's an online billboard or do we not? And so now it's like, hey, while we're waiting to get our API from DRB to be able to have access to the funnel and stuff, we have something in the interim to train an audience that we will then use again
with a more customized boutique sort of solution that you're getting from us. That's an interesting point. Go ahead.
I was saying we wouldn't be able to be training that audience in the interim without, hey, I can make this now. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. And so that is actually a huge discussion that's going, that's really raised to the... Anyways, a lot of people are talking about in the tech sphere is this kind of this, I don't know if you've been following the markets, but SaaS stocks right now, Salesforce, I think even Netflix, Intuit, these, traditional SaaS platforms was essentially renting software, tanking. I think Salesforce is down 25% on the year. And I'll ask you, as essentially, someone who is at an organization that is quickly maturing into becoming kind of like an enterprise level sort of organization, do you see a need for these softwares anymore? Do you see sort of the reduction of renting software from a third party, Where now, let's just say you wanted to do these financial, I think the behemoths will still, like QuickBooks, I doubt you guys are going to move off QuickBooks anytime soon, right? That would be an absolute hassle to sort of replicate. But these mid-tier SaaSes, it's just something that either you could build yourself, you could go to a company like ours where we could build it for you relatively quickly, and then you kind of mitigate some of the level of risk from building it internally. But where do you see that trending? I mean, do you see sort of the reduction at your company, especially as you grow, relying on third-party software and trending towards building these systems internally?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I feel like some things absolutely yes. I feel like there's going to be some softwares where hey, we can create this and that, but I feel like with people in our industry especially, and I don't know about other industries, but I feel like there's something about real estate where people love to be like, I'm just a people guy, I'm not a technical guy. And so I think the people in charge of those decisions are not going to see that benefit, I don't think. They're going to be like,
Right.
I need to be on the roads, I need to see it, touch it, feel
I just
it.
need
So when
this
you're
done.
like,
Yeah.
absolutely, you're like, we could save so much money. This is going to be great. This is going to be that. It doesn't, I think a
It
lot of
doesn't
people,
register. Yeah.
exactly, like it works
It's
the
like,
way
well,
it's doing.
there's no sort of differential in terms of like, well, you're telling me I can sign up for this system and get like 95% of what I need right now versus you're telling me I need to learn what Claude Code is. I need to have a technical person on staff potentially, and it's going to take, a couple weeks to build this. And then I assume all the risk as well. If the system goes down, I assume all the risk. That makes complete sense to me, but it's just very interesting because there is kind of this cohort of developers who are saying SaaS is dead, SaaS is gone, but especially in real estate, I know exactly what you're talking about. Especially in real estate, we work with a lot of people in the logistics industry. It's still kind of like because there's no differential. There's no understanding of like, okay, and the reality is it's like these SaaS platforms are priced very aggressively as well, very cheaply as well. So it's like there's not really a cost implication. The only difference is customization and like for example, like a funnel, right? Is it giving you exactly what you need? And you guys can tie a specific funnel very clearly to a monetary benefit. It's just like, if this funnel that we're going to put X amount of money behind isn't specifically tailored to the way that we want it to be, and it doesn't have all the tracking metrics that we want it to be, well, there's a very clear differential in why you want to do that. But let me put it this way, like your gas station software, I don't see you guys replicating your pump software anytime soon. Even though you can make the case, exactly. You can make the case that it would be better, and it could, but as of right now, what you want to shut down you want to take that risk and shut down and potentially have a bug that shuts down all your pumps for a week? Like,
definitely not.
It's
definitely interesting. So I don't know about other industries, but I think there's a lot of see it, touch it, feel it, regardless from what I deal with, especially just real estate. That's their investment. That's kind of like their thesis. It's funny because even though there shouldn't be a barrier to entry for Claude Code, I showed someone a terminal yesterday. And
I
don't even look at it. It's
nope.
Like, I'm just typing, and they're like, I don't get it.
I don't get it. It doesn't look pretty, right? Like it's just it's extremely interesting. I would assume that if there is a sort of entry point for the boutique software, it would be internal right now, and low risk internal software. So one thing that comes to mind is you guys have QuickBooks. It could speed up at the individual level reporting, but one thing you could do that's low risk, doesn't impact sort of business processes right now, is build a custom dashboard using Claude Code that directly integrates with QuickBooks rather than but then even then, there's Power BI in that situation that's hooked up to all the Excel spreadsheets. So, maybe you could make a case for something like that. Maybe you could make a case for sort of some derivative on top of your operational management software or something like that. But as of right now, this is a claim that I made on yesterday's show as well, is it's like at mid-size organizations that are really cementing themselves, and of course at enterprises, like all the problems that you're talking about are like 10 times even larger at like companies that are doing, billions and billions and have 1,000 people. It's like you're not you're not gonna replicate your a core piece of software. Like imagine Exxon taking on and they're like, yes, we're gonna rebuild our pump software right now, and they might even own the pump software at this point, but it's like we're gonna go ahead and do that. It's like you would have to make a multi-billion-dollar case and be willing to die on that hill if you're the VP that's orchestrating that. Like, yeah, we're gonna take down all of our pumps for one day, and we're gonna come back with this new software that we built. It's like, okay, well,
if you do,
yeah, exactly. And you don't have anyone to sue. Then it's like, well, shoot, right? Well, what are we gonna do? So, and that's when people will go and start suing you, right? So it's like, again, and we're talking specifically in gas and real estate here, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's definitely shifting up things, and I'd like to talk to you in a couple months to see what sort of like real sort of business outcomes you get from Claude Code. My assumption is going to be at the individual level, your existing processes are going to be sped up, but then like there's a chance that perhaps you might build like a little, I don't know, hour logging software or some like thing that integrates with Excel and like creates pretty reports, but more on small internal tooling would be my assumption, but time will tell essentially. And so I guess in terms of that route, I know you've already given some predictions. Do you agree with me in that sense that that's kind of the level of impact that you would experience over at Noble with the state of agentic systems right now?
Yeah, I think reporting is going to be the biggest thing, and I think it's going to be run by the individual. I think I agree with you because I'll give you a test case for today. This is my first time dealing with Excel files. I had to take our 2025 projections and compare them to our actual 2025 performance. And it sounds like an easy thing, but when you look at the two sheets, they're in completely different formats because we were using an accounting company the first time. They gave us a template. It had 700 rows of stuff. And the second time, and we have a lot of entities. So one gas station is dual entity, which means it has an operating company and a real estate company. For the listener, I know you're familiar. But those weren't next to each other in some of the templates and stuff. So we could have the same site, but they're all spread out through the sheet. So in moving them around, it was like, okay, now I'm going to lose where all these things are tagging now. Now all the values are null. And so I'm like, I just was like, you know what? Just go to Claude and say, hey, move these next to each other. Boom, move it next to each other. And I'm like, compare how we did. And I'm like, it wasn't perfect.
It wasn't perfect, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like, okay, because they're in different formats. So then I, a user, had to be like, keep it high level, consolidate, and then go. And it was like, wow, like that would have taken me a really long time. Even though it sounds simple, just because all the entities, diluting the information, moving them around, and then creating something that was the same format from, like a year ago, we were using different formats. So it was pretty cool. So I think, yeah, reporting is going to be our biggest thing. Thing is like, yeah, I could spin off a web page real quick, but I don't think I would ever have the confidence, at least now, to be like, oh, I'm gonna go take on our software providers just yet, So
yeah, exactly. No, it makes complete sense. And I would assume in that example that you used, what would have specifically taken a long time about changing up that Excel file would be the labor of having to manually go through and do. The thought remained the same. You knew what you needed to do, but the actual labor of having to click through all those cells and whatnot, and that I think is where the value lies. In agentic sort of systems right now is it's that implementation and the back office sort of tasks, like the tasks are just sped up.
It's more engaging to work like that too, because you're moving as fast as your mind can go. You're like, do this, do that, and as fast as your mind can go, and you can press 2 or enter. Right. And you can be doing that on multiple different tabs as well, right? So there's no delay where it's like with the web development, I'm like, hey, I want this to happen, and 5 minutes later it's there. It's not, and I'm doing this for an hour, and my attention span, I need to be engaged.
Right.
So it's a lot easier.
I think
What's that?
No, I was about to say, I think it works specifically with our generation as well, just due to the lower attention span that we have nowadays anyway. So it really, I think, works with our generation.
I think you're absolutely right, which is bad news because no one's going to be present or do anything anymore. But there's no reason to.
Okay, well, let's kind of wrap this up. We'll talk a little bit about kind of the work that we're doing for you and sort of our initiative, and then we'll talk a little bit about sort of like some industry-wide outlook and more so high level, your opinion on AI development in general. But, let's talk a little bit about our project. Obviously, we have one of our forward deploy developers, Jacob, on the project, and we're building a rewards system for you guys that, integrates with, again, not replicates your pump software and your car wash software, but integrates and sort of creates a rewards program. What are you excited about the outcomes of that project in terms of business outcomes if we build this project for you successfully over the course of the next couple of years? Not next couple of years, next couple of months. Where do you see the long-term impact in terms of how that would affect Noble long-term by having a rewards program?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that too, because I did some stuff with Claude today about exactly that. So I had it would take me so long before to format PowerPoints, but I made it. I was just like, hey, use our brand colors. This is our website. Use the brand colors, fill it out, and then I had my own research there that I said, hey, like populate the slides, do what I got to do, and it was faster. But I want to mention, yeah, Jacob's work on the project doing a great job for us. I flew out a few weeks ago, saw the team, and got to see everybody, and the app's come along great. The design and what we're building is a tiered reward system. If you have, it's lifetime spend related, so that's how you move up the tiers. There's 3 tiers. The gold tier is the highest, silver, bronze. At the bronze level, you get 1 cent off per gallon. The silver, you get 2 cents, and then in the gold, you get 3 cents, which is not as aggressive. We're going to start out of the gates being like, hey, that's something we can manage, because worst case scenario, you can always fluctuate the price and kind of soft launch at 2 of our best locations just to get some kinks out. But there's going to be more benefits too. So you're racking up points, and once you reach different tiers, you accrue points faster, which you can redeem inside the store for candy bars, stuff in the coolers, drinks, and our cross market with our co-tenants. So we have Dunkin' Donuts in some of our stores, and we have Capriati's Grinders shop. So there's the opportunity to partnership with them and cross market with our car wash business and give the members a benefit there, because I work on the marketing side for the car washes as well, and we calculate things like lifetime value. So if our average ticket, I'm not going to use real numbers for just information's sake, but just say like you're averaging $10 a month off someone, and that person stayed for for a year. So your average lifetime value for that person is $120. They're spending $120. You can give them a reward here or there. Say, hey, here's because we have the network and the ability to do that. Our margins are pretty high as an independent, which allows us to give our members a benefit, saying, hey, free tank of gas, or likewise refer them into a membership on from the gasoline to the car wash side, saying, hey, buy X amount of gallons, try the car wash free, and just get them in the door. So it is like free value for them, but for us,
right, you're kind of creating like a closed ecosystem essentially.
Absolutely. And a lot of some of the times they're both on site, they're on the same site, and some of them they're in the same markets, they're like a 5-minute drive. So that's kind of like the benefit there. And so adoption statistics, you asked me what we're expecting. So I think in a break-even scenario, 20% adoption, which is 10% below industry averages. And so we're going to fall within that. And I think break even, I did the numbers at $100,000 spend, and we're not spending that, even close to that. But just to make it an even number for us, say, hey, if volume went up 5% because of this app, then we make our money back in the first year and a half.
Right. And that doesn't even take into account the actual enterprise value of the rewards program itself. What the rewards program could be sort of like, if you were to sell the company, what that would go on the balance sheet as, essentially, just having that rewards program.
And just trying to be a player. I'd say like, hey, we have an app and we're opening up this location. I just think it really...
It's kind of a standard thing right now that you would expect from any growing gas and, sort of auto, real estate services company would be some level of a closed ecosystem, facilitated through a rewards program. Now, walk me, because I don't know. Are you guys doing rewards for commercial vehicles, trucks, and stuff like that?
For the diesel side,
Yeah,
So
diesel side.
no, on the diesel, that's a pretty complicated game.
Yeah, because you got to
What
sign up
we
the
found,
fleets and yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So that there's a lot of larger players in the diesel game, and so what we found is a lot of the the nationwide trucking companies, they can't actually fuel with us. So a lot of our customers are local people. And so it doesn't
Hmm.
matter if we're the lowest price gasoline, the nationwides can't typically come to us unless we have an agreement with
And
them.
that's because the specific chains have exclusive partnerships with fleets, correct? That they're
Absolutely.
only allowed to fuel within the network.
Yep. So it's based off a rebate system basically. These people are going state to state. They're going from Canada down to Florida, and they're going across the country. And so their trucking companies have the deals with the people who are in all those states because
Hmm.
they're gonna. But the reason they get those deals, so you'll see the street price is like $5 for diesel, but they get $1 off. But they, in order to get
Hmm.
that dollar off, they have to meet their quota for the month. So they can only use their card, their gas card, at those sites, and to make sure that they hit those quotas. They could be getting diesel for $4, and we could be at 350. They can't come to us because we're only in Connecticut and Mass, and we're not pushing the needle enough to make that deal with
Right.
us. So there's
Interesting.
there's a few different options we're exploring to fix that, and we just hired a great director of operations, Dan, and he's doing a great job with us, and he's looking into some of those roles and how we can get access to those, and we will. I think it's a matter of time, but it's whether you have to partner or create those relationships, you know.
Interesting. And so it's not necessarily like a mandated thing from the fleets or from the network, sort of diesel providers. But in essence, that's kind of what it ends up being because in order to sort of qualify for this dollar off, you need to be hitting your sort of fuel quotas within the network that your, parent trucking company is partnered with. And if they don't hit that number, then the trucking company is going to call you and be like, what are you doing? Like, hit,
So
like,
it actually is mandated. So that's the theory at the top, but it is
mm.
mandated on the road because your card won't work if you come to us.
And they only give
If
you okay,
Yeah,
okay,
you give
that's
you a card that only integrates with, it only works at there. So if you try to pay gas, it won't work. So that people come and they buy this thing
interesting.
called DEF, which is for yeah, I don't know if people are familiar with DEF, but it's for refrigeration. And so people come and buy that from us and we're like, hey, why didn't you buy gas? And it's like, I can't.
That's nifty, nifty business maneuvering by those large networks, to be honest,
Really.
where it
But
essentially becomes a mandate, but
yeah,
functionally it's not.
yeah. There's still a very great market for diesel for us with the local crowd, which just
Hmm.
some of our sites do very well with the diesel. But as far as a rewards program, we're just kind of sticking to gas for that, you know.
Yep, makes sense. Interesting, interesting. Well, yeah, hopefully you guys could tap into that market long term. I assume that will just come with company maturity and developing those relationships. Kind of sounds like one of those things where it's just like the big boys are being the big boys and kind of strong
Yeah,
arming
we're,
everyone.
we're,
So
we're working our way up. So
that's good. Well, anyways, let's transition lastly here into kind of what you're seeing at the ground level with AI and how you see things going now long term, next 10, 20 years. How will impact Noble? How will it impact sort of solo entrepreneurship? If you were to throw out some macro trends over the course of the next 5, 10 years, what do you see happening with AI?
I think solo like scalability is kind of what I
Mm,
see. So one person having the ability to take on many different roles. Like for me in Strident Steel, I'm not looking to hire anybody, and for this, like I don't
mm,
think I'll need to because
mm,
managing the people like coming in, the users, like all the different roles, people who are canceling. I remember when we started business back in college, it was we had to manage all that
oh my
ourselves. We'd be
gosh,
like, this
yeah,
person
yeah,
canceled, do this, that. But having a bot being like, is this refund within our policy?
yeah.
Or, hey, I'm gonna run ads, like
Yeah,
optimize it.
making the marketing creatives. Yeah, exactly, and stuff
But
like
making
that.
the creatives exactly like there's
Yeah.
these things now where you can just have AI be the creative, where experimenting
Mm,
with those things too. And some of them are at a level where it's like I see ads online, I'm like that's AI. But I think even a year from now, I don't think I'm gonna be able to tell. And our
yeah.
generation is pretty good at that for now. But there's like the 45-year-olds who are like, I can't believe that this cat is dancing, and you're like, all right, like,
Yeah.
I think,
No, it's
I
only
think
going to get
like,
better. Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna be like, wow. And that's the thing is like, I thought all these developments that have happened were so far in the future. But because I just remember senior year trying to write an essay with chat and it was not cutting
Yeah,
it.
it's
It was just like, oh
so
yeah.
yeah.
And then you're just
Well,
like,
and then at Noble, do you see that also taking place where instead of having a lot of sort of back office, like, as you're talking about, like report makers and analysts and stuff like that, you could have one analyst essentially do the work of what would previously be needed at 10. Do you see that impacting Noble as well?
what I see is our current analysts being able to take on scale a lot better. So
Mm,
we have the vision to do, 50 locations, and it's like, hey, we would need to hire a lot more staff and integrate them into our process. And I think that our current analysts, I think their job is going to be easier with that many
hmm
locations in the future with that technology than it was at our current pace now. I feel like
hmm
when we give everybody more sites to keep a track of, the processes are going to be there and so refined where it's
hmm
like this is easy. I hope so.
Right, right. So individual capacity will increase, and I tend to agree with you. I mean, that's essentially what the ethos of our entire company is built off of. Is
Hmm.
one forward deployed developer can handle more complex projects and more projects in general, just, essentially just due to that implementation. Again, the thinking is still needed, but sort of the implementation is expedited. So,
Now, I think the future is everyone's going to be a project manager and
hmm
have their own 10 analysts at a time. But I will say this, I am so glad that this came out a year after it started working because
yeah,
I
you need the base level. Yeah.
you need to struggle with the thinking and in order to be like do this do that that's right, otherwise it'd be like letting it do all the thinking for me and then it wouldn't have like I'm glad I learned through the struggle so that now I can tell you you're the road you're going
You
through.
know the directives essentially. No,
Absolutely.
that's absolutely the case as well. I'm sure you'll see that when you do marketing for Strident Steels. It's like you can direct it to make the creative, but you know what the copy should be. But you don't have to type out the copy. You don't have to be on, PowerPoint or whatever, dragging together the little things anymore to make you can just. So that's our outlook as well. I'm interested to see, and I don't have an opinion on this yet personally, and honestly, this is more of a global transformative thing, is if the thinking can get delegated. If the thinking can get delegated, well, the world will be changing a lot.
Yeah,
And then we'll
that
see,
would be good.
we'll see what happens. So I don't
Signing
know,
some food
maybe.
stamps.
Yeah, yeah. Let me see what the world. So that's I don't have an opinion on that now. But that if thinking can get delegated, then we essentially have AGI, and we'll see what happens if you can have, like, imagine if Noble could get run by a bot and could make.
Play more golf as long as the bots can't play golf.
Exactly, exactly. But yeah, anyway, so I mean, unless you have any other final thoughts, thanks for coming on, and I'm sure we'll see you again here as a returning sort of animal. Jack, what's the outlook over the gas industry looking like? What are we seeing over there? Well, we're making some incredible plays out of the Northeast right now, but yeah, unless you have some wrapping final thoughts, it's been great having you on.
No, yeah, thanks for having me. Just very proud of you and your guys' success over there, and I can't wait to see what we do together, what you guys keep on doing. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely,
Definitely
thanks
back.
for having me. Oh, when are you planning? Do you have a tentative launch date for Strident Steel?
I don't, but hopefully within like a week.
Yeah, at the rate that things are going. All right, man. Well, great having you on, and of course, best of luck over at Noble and with Trident Steel. Super, super proud as well, and very excited to see what we're both able to do in the coming couple months here. And who even knows, you might be at the head of a massive $1 billion Trident Steel organization in 3 months with the rate that things are
Very
going.
true. Yeah,
So
put all of my savings into it besides next month's rent into ads. So we'll see how it works.
that's what credit cards are for. No, I'm joking.
More, yeah, more.
But yeah, anyways, man, thanks for coming on, and we'll see you back soon. So
Perfect. All right, thanks for having me.
see ya.